Well, it's time to say goodbye to this computer right here. This was my last good build I had. I really don't want to talk about the experience I had with the Cosmo 2 case from Cooler Master. No, I really don't want to talk about that, but here's a little shot of it. Yeah, I'll have a separate video on that build. But this is the half X. The half. So I'm assuming it's the half X. I can't remember. There's many different designs, 3 different designs underneath this, but this was a mid-range case. I have a, well, optical bay drive is gone now because it's Samsung optical bay drive. It's in my other Cooler Master Cosmo 2 case because I'm just taking over the 2 optical drives, 2 hard disk drives, mechanic hard disk drives, and I'm leaving one there with the operating system freshly installed. You can see that there's nothing there. It's clean installation, tweaked. The GUI's tweaked. No registry tweaks though. I didn't want to go that far. Just like GUI tweaks in that area, and you know it's all set to connect to the server and whatever. But the reason why I'm doing this is because I ain't making part with this hardware. It runs Windows 2000, XP, Vista 7, and more likely Windows 8, hopefully anyway, but I really don't care about that operating system. But the reason why I'm keeping it, while I'm disabling it, this case is getting sold to my younger brother. This with the fan controller. The previous graphics card that I had in this before the GTX 670 was the GTX 260, the 55 nanomil version when they shrunk from 65, I think it was. But the reason why I'm doing that is because you never know. Like I have a chest full of games. I can't rise it up. No, because I won't end up causing stress to my my little Eddie. Looks like he's playing the amp, right? Like, bah! Yes, I play electric guitar. Yeah, I have a chest full of games or whatever, software and everything. You never know when you're going to want to play something onto it, and it supports a wide range of operating systems. You don't have to connect to the network when you're playing a game. Well, back in that day, right? So that's the reason why I'm keeping it. But like I said, the case is going to be sold to my younger brother, and it comes with 2 intake Cooler Master LED fans, a blue LED, obviously. You can see that. One intake on the side, and there's one for exhaust on the rear. It could also support 2 dual 120 millimeter fans or a single 200 millimeter fan. This 200 millimeter fan was this is in the Cosmo 2 case in the front intake, and it comes with an LED turn off and on. That's the kind of fan you can mount up on here. The negative thing about this case now, as I know for the Corsair is 880i and the H100i, it has problems mounting, like on the rear, or obviously you're not going to get it 240 millimeter radiator in this unless you had it on top with the tubings going in. There is tubing cut out in the back, but you know, you're gonna have to have your own custom do-it-yourself liquid cooling system because you can't buy the all-in-one coolers. And this case is kind of getting up there in date, but it does have the only negative thing about this the most is it doesn't have no front port USB headers. But it does support SSDs for storage. So that's mounting SSDs, sorry. So let's take off the side and have a little peek, shall we? Here's what it is like off. So here's these are Western Digital 1 terabyte black hard drives. This is the main boot drive I'll be keeping. I'm taking these 2 over to the new one, like I said previously, in optical bay drives. And right here we have the OCZ Reaper HPC edition. We have the Zalman's CNPS 9700 heatsink. Well, the GTX 670 is also coming over to in the new system build. And I have the previous GTX 260 so I don't need to worry about that. I have lots of graphics cards laying around, right? And that's the PC Power and Cooler Silencer 610 EPS power supply unit. That has no fan into it at all. It's completely silent, and I had this running now for almost 5 years, and it went through numerous spikes, outages, and everything. The hold up time did manage to actually keep the system up while all the other components in the house failed. It's a good power supply, but the sad thing is that they've been bounced around too much. I didn't really want to talk about that, but it's pretty hard not to talk about it, considering that I have OCZ RAM in my system. OCZ they made RAM for a while, then they jumped into the SSD market, and then they gradually praised out the RAM in favor of SSDs. So they moved on, and there was no more RAM being made, or memory, two names, being made by OCZ anymore. So they bought PC Power and Cooling, and now since they went bankrupt because they couldn't get enough into the market, well, what it all boils down to is numbers and pie charts and market share. They couldn't get enough into that, and they end up going bankrupt. So that's two things they lost, and they sold the power supply, PC Power and Cooling as power supply manufacturer, to Firepower, it's called, and it's even on their website. I said previously on my Dream Machine 2014 build. This is my Dream Machine 2008 build. It's a tremendous gap in between because I had to hold off for a year and a half because things came up. So this is the case. I didn't want to really, it's sad to make part with it, but there's not much you can do. It's time to move on, and if this computer could talk and tell you the stuff that got passed through the PCB, it'd blow your mind, honestly. And there's a lot more better people out there that's well above my knowledge. Well, not mainly hardware, but programming and stuff like that. Because I love my machines. I'm a hardware junkie. I love learning about the hardware and so forth. I'll take it right down to the level as you're ready to make it yourself, basically. But you don't have no equipment to do such a thing. So I just stop after that. There's no sense to continue on if you don't have access to such equipment. But for modding and hacking and so forth and that I used this machine a hell of a lot. And it did great in the field, I must admit. And problems I had only with this 2018 Dream Machine 2018 build was that I had problems with it overheating because of the NZXT case. It wasn't getting enough ventilation through the graphics card. That was GTX 260. And I had problems with the memory, but that was with SLI. Again, OCZ, SLI. Remember the days when they had when you can overclock using like SLI certified RAM for within the BIOS before the Enforce got shut out because Intel moved on to the QuickPath interface, and they only had rights to manufacturing boards underneath the front side bus. Well, we don't use the QuickPath interface. It's only for the X58, and it got praised out on the newer high-end boards. And mainstream, mid-range, I should say, uses the DMI or FDI. There's two lanes going into the processor now. Got replaced. And the processor, since we're talking about that now, Penryn. It's a Penryn Wolfdale E8400 clocked at 3 gigahertz with, I believe, 6 megabytes of level 2 cache. I think so. So that is about it. And it's really sad to take it apart, but I ain't going to be getting rid of it. I'm just going to put the board back into the box. I still have the box that it come into from day one, and even the casings for the RAM. I could use the heatsink on another computer I have out there that I might use it just for a test subject. If you want to mod or hack up hardware or just fool around with software in a virtualization mode, you don't have to worry about it. It's a junk computer. It's a test subject, right? And keep your main system nice and clean for whatever you may do, if it's gaming and no more web browsing or whatever it may be, or heavy encoding, so forth, video encoding or programming or whatever, right? Just keep that one separate. Sure, you could do that and all this and that on the same machine, but nah, just it's always better to be on a hardware level than inside of a virtualization level. So yeah, I may use the heatsink and the RAM over again, but it'll always be here in the the storage cabinet if you need to just put a stick in, right? It's DDR2, by the way, too. It's a double data rate too. it's a good, that was a really good build, this, man, because I had to take everything all out of it and move it from the NZXT Apollo, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was the Apollo case, and put it into this one. When I got this here, the last piece I actually put into this case besides the graphics card was the EPS slash ATX 12 volt extension, which is up here. I had to root it out in the back because it come up in front of the case, but the case is nice and clean. Like, you see no wire, well, besides down there, but you know, it's nice. And with the build I have now, it's kind of a mess considering that it's in the Cosmo Cooler Masters Cosmo 2, which is a giant case, and it's a lot of flaws into it, I find, tremendously, considering everybody give it highly a recommendation. But yeah, that's about it. I can yeah, that's it. I want to close it up here, and rest in peace. That's all I have to say. It's really bad and really sad. Right, it is. I hate seeing hardware just going to waste, and I do have a lot in the storage cabinet, but I ain't gonna make away with that. You never know when you want to put it together to play a little game or something like that. You never know, right? So this is not hard to keep, you know, 2 or 3 little boxes there, and have it always on hand if you ever want to take a trip down memory lane. So with that said, this time I'm definitely closing, and if you found this enjoying of me crying over my hardware, because I got to, well, I'm not going to take it apart right now, but if you did, feel free to comment or whatever. I don't know. You could check out the other videos of me putting the Cosmo 2 gear into it. Not a great experience by no means. I lost it a few times, but yeah, you can check that one out, coming from the Dream Machine 2008 to Dream Machine 2014. And yeah, feel free to leave comments or whatever on that one too if you like. So this is it. Knock yourself out, man. I'm out.